My name is Shadia. I'm an autistic advocate. I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Speech Pathology, and I'm very passionate about sharing my experience being autistic to help others learn more about the autistic experience. Processing auditory information is something that requires a great deal of effort for me. If there's too much at once, it banks up and I'm not catching everything. Of course, this cognitive load means that it's really difficult to maintain attention and actually process the content in class. I think learning about that has been really helpful for me to understand that it's not that I'm not smart enough or that there's something wrong with me. It's just that there are certain environments that I need a bit more support in. As you can tell, I'm wearing stim jewellery. This helps me just fidget. And I have a variety of fidgets that I use. Often when I feel overwhelmed, I start to need to move. And when I'm doing things that might require a huge cognitive load, like speaking on the phone, I will find myself pacing around the house as it helps me regulate and refocus. My outward emotions didn't necessarily translate to my facial expressions, so a lot of the time people thought that I either looked quite worried or sort of neutral or seemed calm, when in fact that I was in a period of extreme overload or stress that maybe I wasn't even picking up myself. Sometimes what you're seeing on the surface may not necessarily reflect what's happening inside. This is also translated to masking sort of behaviour, because obviously if people can't see what I'm going through, it's easier to hide it. So often my anxiety would go unnoticed at school. I'd look perfectly calm, but I'm really struggling inside, and then that may eventuate into a meltdown later on. So I think being aware of this and developing strategies to pick up on sort of signs that I can relate to. I have a few stim toys that I tend to use on a daily basis. I use this when I can't take my dog out because she's still in training, so she can't come to class with me just yet. And the idea is that the fabric mimics her fur, which I found to be quite calming as a tactile input. In high school, often what would happen is that because I would mask a lot and internalize my emotions, so having supports like an exit card that was signed by my principal meant that I could just get out, not have to explain. And my teachers would let me go off, take a walk or go to a quiet space to recharge and come back when I was ready. And another big thing that my mum did was connect me in with autistic mentors. I had some autistic adults ask questions about their experiences, and they were able to help me through that time about, building strategies and giving me an example of what an advocate looks like, how to advocate for myself. My teachers, they learned with me that the feedback had to be quite specific on work. They tended to emphasise my strengths and what I did well, and reframed for me that it wasn't areas that I failed in, it was just areas to improve and work on, and that this was actually a learning opportunity. Sometimes if a social situation came up where I was a bit confused as to what happened, they would be able to explain it to me and help me sort of unpack some of those issues that I was experiencing. They didn't force me to do group work, so when I collaborated it was more of a natural thing as opposed to feeling like I had to work with someone I didn't feel comfortable with. Particularly in my biology subject, we had sort of study groups, so we'd talk about the subject and my teacher would say, look, it would be great if you could chat to this student, but I understand that this is difficult, so I'm not going to force you. And then I ended up making a couple of friends through biology, and we were able to actually collaborate and work together. I tried to find events that really played to my interests and connect with people I knew would be interested in the same thing. My high school friends and I would play Dungeons and Dragons a lot, so that's a role-playing game, and it was very structured and activity-based, which really helped me. And naturally, we started chatting outside of that and had a lot of shared interests like fantasy, animals, and that sort of blossomed into an ongoing friendship. I get asked a lot about how to be a good support for someone who's autistic. So one of the best things that they did was simply just listen. Taking that time to listen, to get to know the person, and take an interest in us. They tried to give me opportunities socially that they knew that I would cope better with. So for example, they didn't tend to invite me to the big parties. They tried to invite me more to the one-on-one or smaller group situations like picnics or school-based activities. It really made me feel included and just really feel like they care about you. And again, they didn't always get it right, but I knew that they had the best of intentions. If you're starting off with good intentions, that can make a big difference as well, and being willing to listen and learn.